channeling positive
Yes.
outlook in the meeting.
And no coughing fits.
Actually, what I need to get going.
Yeah, I tell my
Butch has
kids
her
all the
cell phone number,
time,
I
there's only
believe.
2 things in life that you can control.
Oh, she is?
Your effort and your attitude.
Her
That's
legal
it.
name. Her first, middle name, and last name, her date of birth.
If my dad told me that, I would just.
This image card.
That was my coaching skill
Oh.
too. Hey, listen.
Exactly.
Legal
Oh,
name.
Dad.
Who you are? Name.
You don't understand.
He doesn't have a clue, right?
No, I'm checking.
Yeah, I mean, bad things happen. We can't
Trying to
control
get, are you gonna work on
it.
trying to have the checks?
It was one.
You got an extra one?
I'm
From you the 17th?
Yeah.
Hey, does
Trying to
anybody
have
have
them,
meeting
so the
we
checks
can go
that day will have her name on them.
Anybody
Okay.
have left
I'll have to work fast.
We already did
Well,
go to
and
West
which
Valley
is
yesterday.
That's already been decided.
I think that's like the middle,
That's true too.
So we.
the middle one, right?
We just
That's
need to-
what we get set.
Yes.
That's the free
So-
spot. Yeah.
What you, so you tell me.
I see, once I get to like that, I will take and then rally.
I'll give
Rally
them just a second to step
So
back
we're
in.
not going, so.
I wonder if we should just plan her the first.
Bubble name, the name.
All right,
That's right, I forget.
it is 9 o'clock. We'll call this meeting to order. Notice the meeting was properly posted on Monday, April 3rd. Item number 1, discussion possible action regarding a transfer in the amount not to exceed $1.5 million from general fund reserve to employee benefits fund.
Good.
This is to cover the cost of employee benefit expenses.
Good morning. I handed out a handout of, it's a snapshot of where we currently are and everything.
Let's get a motion to receive the document.
And,
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nina, are you good?
We're good, we're
All right. Just slow us down if we ever get too unruly.
Or speed us up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that part, yeah.
so, I did a snapshot of where we are, what expenses we're holding currently versus what money we have available. And we started the year with less money in employee benefits, and of course, things are trending up this year, so we need additional funding. We have $2.7 million of pending items we need to pay, and we have about $2.2 million available at the end of this week. So that leaves us a deficit of $456,000 just to get the stuff we're holding out the door. So I did estimate it for the rest of this month. Every week we receive a medical claims register. So I only did 2 of those, just assuming the last one will forward into the next month, into March or into May. So I just estimated current claims. That's based on kind of the average of what we are receiving. 2 medical claim registers being received this month, and then a prescription one we have to pay that we'll receive around the 15th of this month. So altogether, with that, estimate about $1.2 million of claims we'll receive this month that we'll need to pay. So that puts us in a deficit of about $1.7 million. We're going to get COVID March reimbursements for $111,000. So that brings the deficit to about 1.6. So hopefully the claims this month come in a little lower and we get in there. But the 1.5 won't cover it all. It'll cover almost of estimated, but we'll still be about 100,000 underestimated, if that makes sense, because with the 1.5 won't cover everything.
And I think I'm reading this right, you've already accounted for April 1st premiums.
Correct.
Up here in money that we already have, even though we kind of don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they allocate those early, and those are going to be available on
we do on the
4/6.
first day.
So 4/6, that's the current amount, and then everything, the pending items are things we have in house that we need to pay that we're holding. So we have, again, $2.2 million available at the end of this week to pay. That leaves us in a deficit of $456,000 just to pay the things we're holding. And then again, the estimated claims, we receive a medical claims register every week, and then we receive prescription claims twice a month. So I just estimated 2 weeks of medical claims at our average, what we're seeing right now, and then one invoice or 2 weeks of prescription claims at the average. That'll bring us $1.274 million. So the total estimated need right now is 1.7. Again, the COVID March claims have came in, but it has to go across boards and everything to get allocated. So we should have a deficit of about 1.6 million. Again, hopefully the estimated claims come in a little lower to get us down to that 1.5, but that's what I'm estimating now. So to get everything out the door, what we're holding now, we need additional 456,000. So we don't get in this situation again, and we're running a month behind on funding, basically. And again, we put 1.2 million less in the fund this year, so we start out with less money, plus claims are going up, so that creates an additional deficit, and that's where we're at.
So you say the difference that you need now, the 456,000, that will get you caught up on everything.
In the past.
Yes.
And then this month, we have to pay at least 2 weeks of medical claims, and
Right.
at least 2 weeks of prescription claims, and those are 1.2 million estimated.
Okay.
We have a little help, it's not reflected on here. The March COVID claims have been received,
Right.
sent for processing, but have to go across different boards to get allocated. So I think that'll leave us about a $120,000 deficit to pay what we need to this month too. 120,000.
So if we-
May,
Oh,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So our May 6th, 13th, and 15th, that would all be on the 17th for
Yes.
approval?
For a special meeting, because we'll have to get those RX claims paid this month that come in on the 15th. Because we're still holding a whole month of prescription claims from last month.
Yeah, I see those up there. I'm looking at the timing for April.
So we'll probably need a special meeting at the end of April to pay those
No,
prescriptions.
so we,
Unless you can get them on the 17th.
no, so there's a special budget board this Thursday. So
Okay.
if we approve anything today, it will be on the budget board, then it will be processed on Monday's special BOCC to move the money. And then it can be on the regular 17th BOCC to pay these claims.
If we get them in time, we may not, just because of timing, we might get them a couple days later than the 15th. So maybe we might have to have a special meeting after the 17th because of the timing. That's the only reason.
Special BOCC.
Yes, sorry,
not-
special
Not budget board.
BOCC.
We can get it all appropriated. It's just the authorizing the claim.
Because those might come in a couple days later than that regular BOCC meeting. So that's where we're at. Right now, we're running about a month behind on funding, basically. You know, we have less money to start the year, and then we have everything going up, especially prescription claims. So we need this to get us so we can pay the claims we're going to get this month. So next month, we'll actually have money to pay the claims that we'll receive at the end of this month and next month. And then in June, looking forward to June, we'll get a prescription rebate early, so that'll get us through June into next fiscal year. So I expect this is the last money we'll need to get us through this fiscal year.
Do you have any concerns going forward with the current funding levels?
We're revising that. I'm making some changes, 7-1. You know, prescription claims, they remain static. Most people take the same prescription. Those don't change. And then on the bad thing on prescription side, new people get new prescriptions. So those might go up and fluctuate, but medical claims can go up and down. So we're seeing it coming down a little bit. So those can fluctuate. But going into next year, we'll need some more funding because we didn't even start this year as much as we had last year. Just to cover the retirees' costs by the actuary report, we need to transfer $4.5 million every year just to cover those costs. We haven't been doing that. We've been skating by with enough money not even to do that. So we'll address the budget next year. The good news is have changes for next year, but the timing to getting those implemented and getting everything approved, the outlook's looking better for next fiscal year, way better. Have some good things on the horizon. But right now, this is kind of what we're stuck with, if that makes sense.
Some big savings on the retiree side and then also potentially on the prescription side.
Yeah, so retiree thing's huge if we can get that done. That's just instant savings. And then hopefully we're going to we have the best prescription plan around. If you don't know that, we're through a consortium of employers that buy prescription benefits. It's called Health Action Council. They have over now 6 million employees on their plan. So what they do is they go out to PBMs like CVS Caremark, Optum, all the others, get their lowest prices available in the market. It beats any plan in the market. So we're on the lowest one available right now. The next one we're looking at is a brand new one that's just a cost plus version. It takes out all the PBMs, takes out all the different layers of prescriptions. So it's really positive news looking forward. But right now, this is kind of what we're dealing with.
Well, there's no doubt we have one of the best health plans on the planet. Absolutely.
And if you still look at our costs compared to a lot of other plans, we're still below many, many other plans if you take the components. But it is what it is. We're just running out of money. And we can't keep holding claims. We're running into some problems holding claims, especially prescription claims, because we're holding a whole month of prescription claims currently.
So, John, I understand what comes in, comes in. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have control over that. You try to look at, be forward thinking and looking at ways constantly to save the plan in the future, save money on the plan in the future, and I appreciate that. As it relates to this fiscal year, though, if we were to recommend and budget board were to ultimately approve this transfer of $1.5 million, what I heard you say was you anticipate not knowing what increases might be on the horizon that you just don't know about, big claims, whatever. But based on your trends that we've had, recently, you think we'll be able to make it through the rest of the year without more transfers? That's
Correct.
the first clarification. Secondly, you had mentioned if your estimates are correct, you're still going to be about $120,000 short. So what's your solution on that? Are you going to just hold that and push it into the next month? And will you have enough money in that next month to cover, you mentioned earlier that you would have enough coming in to cover those claims for that month. Will you also have enough money to cover the 120 that you have to push?
I'm not sure. We're really going to have to look at how the claims come in this month. So I'm estimating on that estimated column. If they come in 100,000 less, then yes, we'll have money. If they come in more than expected, then we might need a little more money. But the prescription claims are the ones we really need to pay timely. The other things we can push a little bit. So we can push them several weeks out, allocate money, and I think we can get through the rest of this fiscal year.
Okay.
And the ARPA reimbursement is about
111,000
A
for
month.
March. So I do those right the last day of March to get the numbers. I sent that on to get it processed. So we're still getting about $111,000 from ARPA every month, or COVID claims reimbursement. I could really expect that to decrease, but I haven't really seen that decreasing yet, because we're paying for claims now that may be incurred up to 12 months prior. So it's not like a current snapshot. If you went to the doctor last month, we're paying it right now. Providers have about a year to file stuff and have it paid.
Okay. And I know I've asked you this in the past.
Sure.
And I don't know if the situation has changed. If there was any way that we could look back and see what prescriptions are generally used as it relates to a COVID medical claim, to be able to reimburse our plan
Yeah.
for those prescription expenses, because we've not
We can't.
reimbursed ourselves a penny for prescription costs. And I understand that you've looked at that before, and
Great question. I'll address that if you want me to.
Yeah.
When a medical claim is filed, there's different diagnoses related to the care. It might be cough, cold, COVID, flu, whatever. And there's a very myriad of diagnoses related to any medical claims filed. So that information on the diagnosis is captured. On the pharmacy side, when you go to the pharmacy for a claim, diagnosis is never captured. So industry-wide, diagnosis is never captured on the pharmacy side, and you can't reimburse for COVID-related expenses because diagnosis is not captured.
but can we not turn around and cross-reference and say, oh, Cody
This person.
went to Oklahoma ER and hospital, our 100% provider, and was diagnosed with COVID, or maybe wasn't diagnosed. Well, let's just assume
Assume
it was COVID, and then we filed to get that reimbursement. Well, if we were cross-referencing and saying, oh, Cody had a prescription filled that day or the next day, and it's something that is used for COVID, then it's clear and obvious that that prescription was related to COVID and thus potentially reimbursable.
We could guesstimate it, but there's no way for me to certify that any prescription's related to COVID. It could be for pneumonia related to COVID. It could be, but it could be for other conditions. No health plans in the nation are doing that. I could go and guess which ones are if you'd like me to. I wouldn't suggest that though. I really wouldn't suggest that because we don't know. Because people are treated for myriad conditions and they might be getting prescriptions for other things and there's no diagnosis for me to certify, hey, this is for COVID. I mean, I could do a comparison, but that's a manual. I'd have to look in everybody's claims. I could start that, If you guys wanted to proceed, I could say, here's the numbers. They did have COVID. Here are all their prescriptions. If you're comfortable with me certifying it, we could move forward. But there's just no diagnosis listed on prescription claims.
And there's no way for our TPA or somebody else to reach out to the healthcare provider for me and say, hey, we had a claim for Cody and it's related to COVID. He also had prescriptions. Can you verify the prescriptions that you prescribed to him for?
That'd be like 20,000, items we'd have to verify. We could do that on the back end. It would take months and months and months to do that. But we could try that. But there's no way to certify it's for COVID since there's no diagnosis listed on it.
We'll do all that work and then to discover that it's not going to qualify for ARPA as well. That's.
We'd be the only ones in the nation doing that if I'm correct.
Probably ask the consultants before we put
Yes,
our time
I
in.
was going to say.
I don't want to be guessing or anything.
Yeah.
That's not what,
No, I know you're not.
I'm just.
No, that's a good point, Cody. That's a great point. If diagnoses were collected on prescription claims, perfect, slam dunk. We could do it all day long. But just kind of guesstimating going back. And I can do some of that if you want me to. This month, work on that, kind of come to the board and say, hey, this is what I guesstimate. If you're comfortable with it, we could request it. Start with our biggest cases first, because we had some huge COVID cases over the last couple of years.
Or looking at, I've seen that there's a commercial on that says, I can't remember the name of the drug, but COVID, Prolovid or something like that. Plax, okay, that one. So that's I can't remember what you call those, something type of drug that's
Specialty drug?
a specialty drug that are really, really expensive. And if that's one that is specifically for COVID and it's super expensive, like a lot of those specialty drugs, and that's what it's used for, then maybe
We could
if
do
we're
that
just
for
looking
sure.
at those.
We should do that. So what I'll do is you just made my brain trigger. We'll run a list of the top 10 or 25 drugs prescribed by COVID and kind of bounce that across the medical spectrum on the medical side and see what we can come up with for soon.
Okay.
And just give you an estimate.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
What's our
Paxlovid, that's what you're thinking about, Paxlovid.
Paxlovid. Mhm.
It's made by Pfizer.
Yeah. And we've got ARPA money set aside for employee benefits, and we got money sitting in there for those claims.
What's our current balance?
$1,849,485. I don't know if it's appropriate before we take a vote on this. I don't know if this agenda will allow us to look at the BET list and maybe just quickly say what other items we feel at this point. There's a lot of stuff on the list that we obviously won't make, but just kind of quickly say which ones we think might still be coming.
Looks like we don't have anybody in here from the DA's office. My interpretation, and I'm looking at Dawn here too, because I think she's an expert on open meetings. This item, while I don't think we could get into specific discussions of items that are on the watch list as, hey, let's go ahead and fund this one, or no, we're not going to fund that one. But having a look at that list and a conversation about the importance level of some of those, that's directly tied to our decision of, do we have money available for this 1.5? So to not have those discussions would lead to an uninformed decision.
So I think it's fine to have that
Yeah,
discussion.
I
Like you
think
said,
it
we're
is.
not taking a vote right now on that, so I think
Right.
it's completely fine to have that.
Could you
discussion.
move to item 2 then and open that up maybe and look at the list and then?
The item two
Item 2's
is,
for next fiscal year.
Oh,
yeah, that's
sorry,
for next
sorry.
fiscal year. No, I'm sure we've got the list somewhere in here, but because
Maybe looking at
I
this
have
as an
one right here
item
if
to
we
say,
want
hey,
copies.
what else do we have pending? Because it's coming from reserve, so as in contemplating this item,
right, yeah, I think we're fine to talk about some of those, because to Christie's point, if we do this, we have less than $400,000 left in our reserve account. So if we're gonna do this, we need to know what's on there that's potentially not gonna have a funding
Can
source.
we pull up the reserve list?
Nina, do you have access to the BET watch list?
Which, it's not on,
It's not
it wasn't
on any-
attached to
yeah.
today.
Right, yeah, it would just be,
I don't know if it's the most recent one.
I
Most
can,
recent is dated 3/16. I would have sent it in an email.
yeah, I
On
can,
3/16. If you wanna go to your,
So, I mean, I can go.
I can,
it was after budget board's last action.
yeah, I've got it in my email.
You could call for a special meeting on Friday.
Well, what we're looking at though
Is
is
to ask-
putting this recommendation on for Thursday. On budget board.
I can go let you all copy it over to the drive.
Okay.
That would probably be
Okay.
better, cause I can pull it up,
Or if
but
you just wanna make hard copies, you can take this
not
one.
everybody's gonna be able to see my computer. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
What's coming through?
He said Groupon deal.
What is
There's
your,
another one.
Something's listening to
Wow.
us and sending us
Change
stuff.
That's my garage door opener.
Don't you have a silencer on your devices?
These are silenced, my watch is not.
Yeah, was it you ringing yesterday? Cause I kept
Look, I
thinking it was
wasn't-
me. and-
Oh, see.
I wasn't even logged into my watch. I don't know why it was going on.
Airplane mode.
That's Cody's subliminal way of letting us know how important he is.
Uh-huh,
All the dings going.
That's it.
The problem is when I mute my watch,
You'll forget.
I'm lucky if I remember to unmute my phones after meetings. But then when I'm like, oh yeah, I remember to unmute my phones. Well, I didn't remember to unmute this, and this will trump it. It trump your unmute on here,
Oh, yeah.
and then they go away and do it. And my wife's like,
I've been trying.
and
Yes.
I'm like, oh yeah.
Don't you put it in theater mode?
What's theater mode? I'm not a tech person. Mine's an older one too.
See, if
Okay.
you see the little happy face, sad face
Uh
there,
huh. Yeah.
click that.
you've been bringing in interest.
There you go. So it'll tell you, it'll do this, it just won't be a sound.
It should be on the file.
So you'll get a silent notification, but it will notify you. What's theater mode there?
So that's why I'm holding this phone and texting, and I didn't know how to do this. I
Mm-hmm,
didn't even do this. And this was fine.
cause it'll notify you.
And so anyway,
So if we got interest coming in.
And was it real bright?
I said, yeah. And so I let it go and I let it go, and then eventually I leaned forward.
And knocked it out of the hand.
And he turns and looks at me
We
and
use
he's
it for job.
like, sorry.
Hey, I had a sick kiddo, so I may have to phone in because I'm supposed to.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm just doing my phone.
It's already in general fund. This money's already been approved.
And so as long as you get my phone, that's fine.
Okay.
General fund after our amended budget. I mean, you could open
I forgot just no more for minutes.
30-day protest and file back and say.
So that 2 million is going to the jail.
Nina, can you make it a little bit bigger? There we go.
In looking at the list, the ones that pop out to me obviously are juvenile salaries and detention. Hannah's done a great job of keeping us informed every month. So to me, that's on my radar.
Right.
This is obviously as recent as yesterday. And then the only other thing that I kind of would pop out to me would be general government, our utilities and stuff, and I just don't know kind of where we are. I know Kelly did mention she made it sound like she wasn't gonna have enough, but nothing was really said as far as amounts, and we just haven't been getting the kind of updates in number form on that. But otherwise, unless I'm missing something, those are the things, the juvenile bureau and then our general government line items.
Well, and then court services on their lost GPS bracelets, those are gonna be an actual bill that they have to pay, and I know,
It's coming.
well, they already got it, but he's
Oh.
been rocking forward, trying to see if he can save money other places to mitigate that increased expense, but I think we are gonna have to move some over to him for that bill.
We transfer this, we're at 350,000.
Or how much, I'm sorry?
349,045.50. Like 350 if maybe court services doesn't need the full 19.
Thursday.
There's a special one on this Thursday, and then the regular one is,
It's not next.
no, 2 weeks from now.
We got time.
What
So, yeah.
John's saying.
Well,
is-
yeah, we
No,
got
you
it.
can't.
We've got
We don't have
it.
time.
No,
Yeah,
they don't
We
do
don't
that.
have time.
Yeah.
The minimum amount,
Yeah, we don't.
just to catch up, what we're holding is 456,000. So that captures past. Now, this week we'll receive medical claims that need to be paid. Next week we will. I left off the last week of the month, but then we'll receive $582,000 prescriptions that have to be paid. That's estimated this month. But we can always take the chance and keep pushing things forward. But just to get what's cleared in the past,
Yeah.
we have to get at least 456,000. But we really need the 1.5 to get caught back up in the whole claims.
And then I heard you say, and then done for the fiscal year.
Yeah, done for the fiscal year.
So pay me out.
I mean,
I hate pushing things forward, and I recognize that roughly $500,000, we're at our limit. We can't push that. I mean, we've got to, in my opinion, we need to address that in a recommendation today. That's just my opinion.
Right.
The remaining million maybe wait just a little bit, and I'm not necessarily talking a month, but waiting, and I mean, we still have some time before budget board in 2 weeks to where we can get with some of the other individuals that have items on here. For instance, Grant, I can find out from him, hey, is there any way you think that you can make it through without getting that? Find out from Hannah, what is your updated salary number? Because it was, thinking that it was gonna get close to the 300,000, and specifically getting with Kelly Thomas and seeing what, on these vicinity bills and stuff, what we're gonna have to have.
yeah. So if the
Because
board-
those are bills that, I mean, we know this, we've talked about it, we operate under a balanced budget, and we can't legally spend next year's dollars on a previous year's bill. So while we don't like pushing a month on that, that's a rollover account that we have in the past paid, prior month medical and stuff in that next year. But some of these other bills that are actually invoices from this year that are general fund, we can't do that, and we have to make sure that we can get those paid with this year's dollars.
So if the board could transfer at least 500,000 now, cover the past expenses, is what I'm hearing. We'll retouch base after you've had a chance to check with the other departments, and then come up with probably another request, at least to cover the prescription claims that are gonna come in, and see where we're at in medical claims. We'll know Thursday what the medical claims will be that first week on that estimate. So it'll give us a bit better picture.
And I think when we have the conversation with our elected officials, we let them know he really needs $1.5 million. But our recommendation is to do the 500 now, float the rest, knowing that we're gonna have to, because what I don't want is for our elected officials to be like, well, we just did 500,000, why do we keep doing this? And so they understand that we're trying to take this one bite at a time, just from a timing standpoint.
Sounds good.
That's what I meant. I mean, had I been given few more seconds, I was gonna say we could do this now and
Okay.
later. That's what I meant. The budget board in 2 weeks, we have time to get it on an agenda so we really can discuss that stuff.
Right, but the
Right now-
500,000 we need to do now and not
Yes.
wait 2
I
weeks.
agree.
Good idea, Rick.
Good idea, Rick.
Glad I thought of it. Thank God I'm here.
Absolutely.
Do we have any idea of any lapsed funds that maybe?
Say that again, Mike?
Any lapsed funds? Do we have an idea of anything of that
The
nature?
problem with lapse funds is you can't pick them up. So general fund, as of our September supplement, you've got a bottom line. General fund has however many million. We can't add to that. I mean, we can, we'd have to go through the process of opening the budget, 30-day
Right.
protest period, refile with the state. We've never done that. But
I'm just looking at if,
are you saying within someone's budget? Like if they think they're not gonna spend it all? maybe find some?
You know, our office, I think, is 138,000 or something like that we're turning back, so.
Yeah, I think. and I
Now
wish-
that we could do, we
I
just
wish-
can't, because Mike and I were talking
Is that
about
what you meant?
Yes.
Yeah.
all the ARPA interest that's sitting there.
Yeah,
And it's not appropriate, well, we can't appropriate that to general fund. But I see what you're saying, if it's some lapse funds that people have already, can
Yes.
identify that they're not gonna use.
If any of those settlements for the opioid stuff or anything, I don't know how all those are handled, I don't know if those could be.
It's not appropriate.
Yeah, that's
I
not
don't
general
think
fund,
they can,
those are separate funds.
and there's gonna have to be certain programs and specific things that you have to do with that money. I don't think we can just do it broad swath like that.
We can, yeah, we won't.
Yeah.
But it was a good thought.
Yeah, definitely.
Those would be the expenses.
Yeah, I seem to remember in the past, the DA's office saying if we pulled money from a budget, it was talked about the sheriff's office back with CARES, going ahead and taking money from their general fund budget and moving it back over so then it would be available for something else. And I seem to recall the DA's office stating that to do that in the middle of the fiscal year, you have to declare a revenue shortfall before you can go in and remove money out of
Someone's budget.
someone's
Even with
general
their
fund budget.
approval.
That's my recollection. I could be wrong on it, but you recall that? Okay. But it's a thought. I was thinking more about if it was available on the interest.
Yeah, we were talking about that, but we could,
Like on transfers, when an elected official goes and does a transfer, can they transfer that to any account they wish? I mean, or does it have to be within their own budget? You know what I mean? Like if somebody's transferring from, say, 53 to 54, or whatever. I mean,
well, those for sure, within your own budget, you can go within
Well,
your
no.
expense categories.
right, but what I mean is that, so I mean, can they transfer that to any other, I mean, it's that.
Well, that's kind of what we're asking, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where we're,
You pass that.
like
out.
if, yeah, pass the hat kind of thing.
We can do that.
We can?
Sure. Jennifer.
Instead of like, just take it out, say, you know, 518, 52, and put it at 140, 52, is that?
That's what you were just questioning though, right?
Mhm. Yeah, and I know, to Rick's point, I know that passing hats happened before. Maybe it was before I got here. I mean, I think it was, so it was over
We had that issue,
11 years ago, 10, 11 years ago.
Sheriff Westall, and the funding for the medical.
That was different though. We
I didn't do that.
we did that through a lawsuit. There was a judgment issued.
But prior to that, I wasn't part of that budget board meeting, but prior to that, there was heavy discussion.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and there may be a mechanism. It may have just been the mechanism that was talked about previously wasn't available, but maybe there's another way to do it. And there's always a way to do it with opening the budget back up, but that's a long, convoluted process this late in the fiscal year. I don't know that it would be really a viable option.
Guess it'd be worth asking the DA. I mean, it seems like if an officer's willing to cancel appropriations and it's in their general fund, you know, cancel appropriations, it's just,
That just goes
as long as it
against
stays in the
the
same fund.
seed corn for next year, so, yeah,
Yeah, you are,
you're dipping into your seed corn.
Well, we can have that conversation. So, but I think we're all, sounds like everybody's in agreement on at least like 500,000 for now. If so, do we have a motion?
So,
Second.
Got a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let's go ahead. Is this item on for tomorrow as well? This
Yeah.
1.5, is it on the agenda for tomorrow?
No, it's not.
For budget.
Okay, I didn't know because you had moved
No,
a lot of them onto the
What
same
time?
budget. I was gonna say we could
it's on Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah.
One.
So it's a special
Tomorrow.
budget
Oh,
Thursday.
yeah.
Thursday.
We'll just need to get on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
I
will.
would,
Yeah,
all I
it will
was
be on.
getting at was if you had duplicated today's meeting for tomorrow, that if we had more information,
We could do some-
we could always come back and talk about this item tomorrow, but
Oh, I see. That would be
No, I
Sure.
don't
At least
think
the
so.
500K would get us caught up, and then we can see what claims are coming in this Thursday and have a better idea.
okay. Well, we'll do that, and then we have our regular BET meeting next Tuesday. So if we get any information that's pertinent to this, we can always discuss it next Tuesday. So you may want to go ahead and put an agenda item on our Tuesday meeting to discuss. And go from there. All right.
But there is a employee benefits item for budget board.
All right, we are done with item one. Let's see, we got to, are we on 13, election board? All right. Kelly, how are you?
I'm good. A little tired. Good job.
long night.
Long night.
I bet. Do you wanna start with Philly?
Yeah, we'll get there.
Or Philly?
Yeah, we can do it. For the salaries, we didn't change much. The only really change is, the secretary, there's a statute that his salary increases May 1st of this year, so it'll go in effect May 1st. To get him up to that, just at 3,700, and then the assistant secretary, he wanted to bump her up to keep in line with that as well. So that's really the only difference there. M&O, we're asking for more postage. Postage has gone up. We've used a ton of postage. By the time we're done, we'll be using 110,000 this year. And we were able to use funds from the grant, but there was law passed that we, as election board, can no longer accept grant funds. So moving forward, we increased our postage. And then truck rental. Truck rental is like a really hard one for me because this year alone we will spend 72,000 just on truck rental. Did you have a question?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I know I talked to Micah about possibly in the future, looking at purchasing 2-box trucks because at this rate we're only seeing increases.
That's what my look was about.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something that I've
priced
already.
those and
Yeah, I have not priced them yet, but we are. We were trying to get through this election.
Yeah.
But when I look back and I was like, oh wow, the truck rental is killing us right now.
and you mentioned grant funds and the statute that passed, but that was, you can't receive third party, you can get grant funds, like if they're federal or something like that.
Yeah, but we
So,
cannot.
but you can't take
Right.
from
Right.
501c3s and other
Yeah.
entities that may have an interest in
Yeah,
an election.
that has-
What the,
That,
The
in
thought was-
2020, if we didn't have that, we would have plummeted
Right.
because we just didn't have the funds to keep up with everything that needed to be done.
what I was gonna suggest is you may wanna get with Nikki, in purchasing office, our grant writer,
Okay.
and have her look and see if there are some grants available on the federal side
Okay.
for local election boards, and see if you could potentially use those resources to purchase a couple of these trucks,
Okay.
or at least one,
Yeah.
and maybe if you can get one, and then we find general fund dollars for another one or something.
Okay, no, I don't think it will be that expensive from what I'm seeing, I just don't have an actual vendor local yet that I've been able to reach out to and say, hey, can you get me a price? So,
I'm just ignorant on, so how many times a year do you rent the trucks?
every election,
Every election?
Yeah.
So like, is it like a 24-foot dry van or
no, they're just box trucks,
Okay.
just standard box trucks.
like an old branch truck or something? Okay.
Yeah, we'll rent from Ryder. We did find for these 3 elections, we did rent vans from a company called MHC. It's turning out to be kind of a pain, but they're just as expensive as trucks.
But
So
the reason I was asking, I mean, is there any way to potentially use like enclosed trailers that are pulled like as a, and the reason I ask is, I mean, I have access to a ton of that stuff if you want to borrow it. I
yeah.
mean,
Well, I mean, we may.
I mean,
Right, those trailers?
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
Well,
because at some point we may
I've
have
got a
to
yard full of
look at
things,
that
so-
because Amazon is, I mean, we'll take in December coming up, we know that there might be a possibility of an election for OKC. Trucks are gonna have to be rented. That's the worst time because Amazon gobbles all those trucks up. So when you do find them,
How many do you need per election?
usually 2, we can get away with 2.
And see, I'd asked her last year about a truck because we could either, whether it's our yard or one of the other yards, we could always either loan
Lend out.
or as we have some that we're, taking offline and getting something else, we could always move it over.
Yeah.
But that wasn't gonna work. But if we could do a trailer like that, or if there was another type of van, maybe that's not a box truck, that we could use in the county for other purposes throughout the fiscal year, and then make those
Right.
available to
We
you
do
at
have
that
a
time.
van. We do have a van that we use as well. I do have the purchase order on from last year and I just recently found out that they canceled our order because of the chips. So that purchase order is still sitting there with the 38,000. And on the smaller elections, we can get away with using vans, but on the bigger elections, we can't. Just too much equipment, too many voting booths. So.
Well, if you would, you and Nikki, and also run the traps on what other things you can use. If enclosed trailers would
Yeah.
work, they've got that. We have trucks in the county that at election time, I'm sure whether it's one district or a combination of our districts could maybe,
Yeah.
lend you guys trucks to pull the trailers and that kind of stuff. So, I
Okay,
mean, we want to all help
yeah.
where we can.
For sure, I mean, because this is a lot.
Yeah, I'm totally happy pushing forward on our end and up my chain. I mean, we've got the, I mean, obviously we haul heavy equipment everywhere, it's just like the district guards do, but yeah, I'm happy seeing what I can do to help provide enclosed trailers and even deputies to help provide ballot security with that if we need to, so, whatever we need to do.
Okay.
If it helps, I wanna push something on you don't need or want, but
No. I mean, I'll go back and definitely talk to him and then reach back out, but yeah, I mean, that's definitely an option, And the only other increase would be, our cell phones. We were on 3G, those discontinued, so we had to go with, different phones, so that's why it's come up. Other than that, everything's pretty much stable.
All right. Is there any, just one clarification on Doug's salary. You said that's a statutory change, so that has to increase.
Yes. And I'm at this stage.
Not that, I'm not saying whether we want to or not, but that changes some of the consideration of whether it's optional to push or not push or whatever.
Yeah, that's not, it goes into effect May 1st.
That you've got that increased coverage from Angel.
And the assistant secretary, is that
That's not,
statutory?
he just wants to keep it in line with this.
Are there any other questions?
Motion to receive.
Got a motion to receive?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
All right, employee benefits.
So mine's pretty simple. We're just requesting the same on everything, no increase, no decrease.
Are there any questions? If not, is there a motion to receive?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
John already used
Thanks,
up all
John,
his
you
time.
balanced out the time. Yeah. All right, social services? Hey, Christie, how are you?
I'm well. So from the flat budget bingo perspective, we don't have any July 1 urgent needs for anything new. So starting with the flat budget will work fine with us. We've got some ups and downs among line items, but they balance out fine, so we'll be fine with that. The only exception to that is there's an item for 175, everything we have is an M&O. There's an item for 175 for respite transitional, which is, it's a program that we're vetting and working up, and we still have all the traps we need to run for it. So if that is something that does come to fruition, it's something that we can have a September conversation about. But that's the only thing that would be any greater than a flat budget amount that we might have. And at that time, if it were to happen, the amount would be different because it would be for an entire year anyway, so. So we don't have anything in salaries or any of the other accounts.
Did I notice something on our watch list from social services related to salaries?
Yes, you did, and we were just having that conversation. It's an employee who retired that we had come and talked to you about. And the amount, and Cody had made the suggestion at the time, let's hold off and wait and see, because that amount could very easily go up if that date changes, which it did. So we are gonna be looking at our numbers today. We think we can manage it if we can do a transfer to cover it. So.
A transfer with your own budget, within your own budget, okay.
And obviously, that's something that's not gonna affect next fiscal year.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. So we'll look at that and can send you an email and let you know what we think, but.
Please do, as you were here for the other
Yeah,
conversation,
exactly.
you need to, because we need to make sure that you're whole in your salary account and your overall budget, but we need to know what is out there.
Right.
Okay. Are there any other questions? If not, do we have a motion to receive?
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thanks, Christie. Carol? All right. Is anybody else here besides around the table to present? Okay.
Doesn't look like it.
I didn't wanna take up time presenting mine if somebody else was out here that wanted to get back to the desk, cause I'm here for the duration.
Just Dawn.
Dawn, you wanna go?
I'm happy to, I need to leave by 10:15-ish,
It's
or
up-
I can do tomorrow.
It's up to you. Would you rather go now or wait till tomorrow?
Well, I'll just go now and y'all can be, hey, it's a new kid, or be nice. Be nice kid.
Hayes.
We got a motion for Hayes.
Wow, and that was fast too.
I abstain.
Yeah, it's my fault for opening the door.
Dawn, I'm gonna vote no. We would do a roll call.
But we are recording and it's a live video. The main things that we have, from the viewpoint of a flat budget, and of course, Miles is, while not new to you all, is brand new commissioner, so it's kind of putting together a brand new office and team a little bit. He is looking at, adding a comms person, which we had not had before. I think that's the most significant thing here, with regard to staffing of our office. Otherwise, I think we stayed the same. One of the things that's concerned me is I'm learning so much listening to you all, is everyone keeps talking about postage, and we don't have anything on here that, well, I know we have that. I went back last night to see if I found it, and we don't have something specific to up that. So that may be a miss on our part that I'll look back at, or maybe that is just placed in a different spot. The other significant increase, that Cody mentioned to me is special projects. And so, my understanding of that, is that it's specific to a school project on Hefner Road. It's a road situation, but I don't know the details of that. I'm happy to get that for you guys. But those were our two main significant things. The staffing deal specifically, if I didn't say before, is that we're hoping to have a comms person. So we haven't had that since I've been here. There's just the three of us upstairs, and it's clearly a need. We've been looking for someone. We haven't found that person yet, but I think it would be a huge value add. It's become an obvious need to us quickly.
And so that communications person would be in addition to an admin assistant and a constituent services person.
Right. Right.
And for the Hefner School project, is that what you said?
So Hefner Road,
Okay.
it's my understanding, it's
Okay.
off of Hefner, the road, Hefner, I can't tell you exactly.
Okay.
And it's a road project, also related to some type of entry to it in a soccer area.
Okay.
If it's on
But
the
that'd be
road though,
highway,
you could
right?
That
use
would
highway
be-
cash.
Yeah, that should be
Okay,
in
and
your
so,
highway.
and so I may,
But it may have something to do with, it's located at Hefner Road, but it's maybe a private road for the school going back in
so
there or
exactly
something.
right, it
So-
has something to do with the soccer field near that area, but I'm happy to get you the details, I just don't know, that's the project that's been explained to me.
I wonder if that project would be reimbursed by the school then.
I'm happy to dig into that for you, I may not know those details as well as I should.
Is it Hefner Road west or east?
So is this part of project reimbursement? Do you have something on here? And for the Hefner? Is that
Well,
what that
I
is?
don't have those details, that's just what I learned yesterday. It's just in the special projects, it had gone up. I think it had been 120 and I think it has gone up. Isn't that what you were raising to me?
Yeah, I think what it is, it looks like they're wanting to increase their project reimbursement by $30,000 to do additional, to be able to do more programs than what you were able to do
Exactly
this
right.
fiscal year. What
And that's
those,
the example
what
of
those
one that I
specific,
was given.
yeah,
I don't know the details. of
and
this.
I just asked the question because you brought up this specific project. For me, I don't necessarily need to know the specific project because you don't really know, and on ours, the same way, we don't know what those projects are gonna be until you're in the middle of the fiscal year.
Right,
And while this may be one, others may drop out, others may come in.
right.
So it's just a matter of, to me, it's, you're wanting additional money to do some more school
Special
projects.
project, yeah, exactly right.
All right, is there any other questions? If not, your highway cash, you said you did turn in, right?
We did,
It's just not
and
attached here.
it's on here now.
Well, it was turned in yesterday, so we couldn't amend it for today. It's on
It's
tomorrow.
on tomorrow's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
So I
okay.
can pull it up.
No, that's
Okay.
fine. We'll discuss it
When
tomorrow.
attached.
Then if there's not any other questions on general fund, let's go ahead and get a motion to receive.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. All right, we will move back up to District 1. Let's start back on the salary page. Okay, at the top of the salary page, we got an increase in a couple of the positions up there. One of them, the top one for chief deputy, is the 8.5, is representing part of the 8.5% COLA that we funded for this year, but we're asking for that for next year. The admin assistant, we're increasing that by $8,300 in that line item, but if you notice below the special projects, we kind of had a part-time person helping with admin and somebody else that was doing it as part of their constituent services role. What we did was we just brought in an admin assistant full-time, and we're doing away with the special projects. So the overall net of our salary is actually going down. We're requesting a reduction in salary in general fund by $608. In the notes section, you'll notice over there, what I've done is for 3 of us, we're splitting with highway cash those top 3 positions, chief deputy, first deputy, and constituent services will be paid 9 months out of highway cash, or out of general fund, and 3 months out of highway cash. So that's where that is. And you'll notice when we get to the highway cash budget, those positions will be listed at the bottom of the positions on that salary page, reflecting the 3 months that they'll be out of highway cash. We've got one person moving, one position moving from family to single on insurance, so our insurance is going down a bit. So we got a reduction in our request in salary and benefits. Travel, we're requesting a level budget there. M&O, we are requesting an increase in subscriptions. One of our services that we've been using under a free basis, they've changed their parameters, so now we actually have to subscribe to it to be able to utilize the same features we were utilizing. I'm sorry?
So that's how those work.
They get you
Yeah.
sucked in.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you get 2
Wait,
weeks
what was
free
it?
and then?
No, it's,
It's
well,
funny.
when
It's
we
just
do
how they work.
our newsletter,
Apple
we
TV.
were just using MailChimp, and it's free, but they changed it to where you can only, well, I don't know that they changed it. I think they reduced the number of transactions that they'll send out, the number of emails on a newsletter. So now we have to pay for it. It's $39.99 a month. So that's what is that increase. There was an increase in the parking rate, so our line item went up there. Project reimbursement due to inflation and increased costs. We are asking for a $10,000 increase there. The capital outlay is a reduction due to that transfer. So overall, we're asking for $1,920 less next fiscal
Well,
year.
is that, does that count the $4 in the
No,
total?
yeah, that's right. That's the formula.
Yeah.
Yeah, this needs to be fixed.
You're spending more than $4 this year in your income.
Oh.
Oh, well, yeah. That is a,
Yeah.
So your
That's a
total
formula.
overall deficit is.
was that like that on when I turned it in?
Yeah, I guess so.
I didn't change your formula, I promise.
You're throwing her under.
No, I'm just saying.
No, I know.
Formula.
I know. I don't know. Sorry, we didn't. catch
See,
that.
you guys told me that I sent it in and it was,
Yeah, we didn't. catch
that I didn't have any errors.
I'm sorry to tell you, you did.
I had
Well,
one.
see, you know, that's the first thing that should make you take pause.
She said mine was the cleanest she's ever seen.
Oh.
I told everybody, no.
That's right. Yeah. I know.
You got the same.
But anyway, it doesn't change the overall difference. It's we're requesting $1,920 less than this current fiscal year. So that is our general fund. If there's not any questions, I'll move on to highway cash. Let's start salaries and move our way back, if you don't mind. So on the salaries, we're going down just a little bit. It's a reduction of $30,000. Salary increase and decrease over there, that was just kind of to clean up some, we were a couple pennies off on some of our line items, so I went through to make sure that we were balanced correctly. If you notice there at the bottom, we've got those positions split with general fund. One of those positions that says split with general fund is not there. The communications director, we no longer have that position. That's why it has the negative $32,000 there. We rolled our communications director and our constituent services into one role. That's when we brought the full-time admin in. So anyway, we had a little bit of change in our medical, so we're going down on our medical. I got all that information from John. I just find out who we have in single and family and just give the actual number there. If anybody wants the M&O and capital broken down any more than what you see there, I'd be happy to give you that information. But that is basically it. Are there any questions?
Motion to receive?
Second.
All right, a motion and a second to receive. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. All right, is Russ here? Russ is here. You walked in just at the right time, but. All right, whenever you're ready, Russ, let's start with the district attorney's state. I think is the one that she has pulled up.
We asked for the same amount as we did last year. The reason we asked for more last year is because the state gave us more money and took away 2 of our revolving accounts. So we don't have the revolving accounts that we used to have to be able to purchase goods and maintenance and operation, equipment and supplies. So, but this year is the same exact amount as we asked for last year.
Okay, are there questions on that one? If not, let's move to county. And Russ, before you leave, I want to ask you something about the contract.
Okay.
So,
And we asked the same for the county as well.
easy peasy. Any questions? If not, is there a motion to receive?
Second.
Got a motion to second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, Russ, yesterday when we were talking to Kelly Thomas about our general government budget, there was a request in there for the DA contract, $55,000. Aaron wasn't sure whether that $55,000 was related to the new endeavor that you guys are going to be going into with the trust, or whether that was a request for an increase in the contract that you have with the county to perform county services.
That was actually a decrease of $57,000 from the year before. We've got the same amount for 4 straight years. It wasn't what we asked for. They just gave us the same amount every year.
Right.
So what I asked for was 57 less than we did last year.
than what you got last year,
than
or
what
than,
we asked for.
well, okay,
We've
okay.
got the same amount for 4 straight years, which is way less than what we asked for. So we're gonna be in the whole $75,000 this year.
Okay, well, let me get it pulled up here.
I made a copy with the help.
So,
Last year we asked for 831 or something.
right. So you got 719,
Right.
437. So are you asking for 774, 993,
Yes, that's
31
just
this
to
year?
pay our current. people.
Okay, I got you. So that 55, 556, 31 that's on here is for this contract and not related
It has
to.
nothing to do with anything.
Okay, that's what we thought, but we just wanted to clarify that. Erin said that she was going to talk to you, but I figured since we had you here, we could just clarify it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Do we have
So he,
MIS? Okay.
yeah.
All right. If they're on their way down, let's go ahead and skip down to District 2. If that's okay.
Perfect, yes, mine's easy.
Not, trying to slight the clerk, but you've got several more budgets, so it may take a little bit longer.
Yes, so if you look at our general fund, the only difference that we have this year is, you can see that we have moved the BOCC administrator under the chairman's office. That move had previously been made this year, so really the only increase was to annualize, that salary. So you'll see that on the salary computation page on the end. Other than that, we are making no other requests above and beyond, our flat budget.
Do you recall when Brad and Shelley Goodnight were in that role, and
Yes.
also Kelly Thomas in the beginning,
Yes,
and they were reporting to the chair's office? So sometimes they reported one, sometimes the
yes.
other. Well, I guess I don't even need to ask that. I'll just say, what we've done is move them under, and I appreciate you guys,
Mhm.
taking that supervisory role.
Mhm.
My concern about putting her salary in your budget, though, is if in January of next year
Yes, and we've already discussed that possibility.
she's moved, then we'd have to move that around. I'm wondering if we couldn't just put that BOCC administrator salary position in general government and have that salary there.
Perfect,
That way, it doesn't matter who the chairman is,
yes.
it can just roll that way.
Yeah, we're certainly amenable to that.
Yeah,
We just wanted to take action to make sure that, we.
that it was reflected somewhere.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So we are certainly open to that, and honestly, because there may be a difference from chairman from year to year, which Mike and I have already discussed, it would be easier to manage that way.
Mhm.
So we are certainly open to doing that.
Well, and there's been years, a few years ago, where we had multiple chairmen because, we kind of
Yes.
rotated in the middle of
We
the
did
year.
3 in the
So-
same year.
Exactly,
So
so.
that would have been a logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
So yes, we are absolutely open to doing that, and just, then that would be moving her to general government.
Mhm.
We can do that.
Is everybody
Makes total sense.
cool with that? Mikey, can you
Do
get
we-
with Kelly
Yeah.
and make the
Updates.
changes? And then get with Brandy and get her authorization to make whatever changes.
We'll make both updates and have it on the regular BET next week.
That's great.
Perfect, thank you. So other than that, we have no changes,
All right.
for, general fund. So, if there's no questions on that, moving to highway fund, certainly made a, lot of changes under our highway fund, because it had been voted to, disperse the monthly, fuel tax allocations, differently amongst the 3 districts. Obviously, that will, impact our bottom line, and so we were having to do a reduction of force accordingly. So you'll see that, our salary computation page reflects a lot of those, reductions in force. We are still working out the details of exactly how that's gonna work out, so it's a little bit of a fluid situation. So we're actually making other changes as well related to the reduction in force, but this at least shows you some of the changes that we're making. And so when you see a lot of those reductions, that's what that is related to. That's pretty much all of the main difference that you will see. Our proposed budget under M&O is significantly less than it was last year due to those reductions.
Okay.
And that's pretty much all I have.
Any questions? If not, do we have a motion to receive?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Where were we scheduled to get through today?
IT just showed up, I think.
Right.
And then, you mean time-wise?
Yeah.
Noon.
No, okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
What we
How-
have left is IT and county clerk.
And
I think
that's-
19, because I think 20, I was supposed to start tomorrow morning, right?
Yeah, so we already did.
So we're ahead of schedule. So
Yeah.
what I was thinking was, if we could do MIS real quick.
Yeah.
I know Dawn has to leave.
Yeah.
But if we can do MIS and then go ahead and adjourn,
Yep.
that way Dawn doesn't miss any of them. If we're ahead of schedule, then it's not gonna set us behind tomorrow. Is that good with
Sounds great.
everybody?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Okay. All right. MIS.
Where'd he go?
I think you walked in the bathroom.
Well, do we have time to do clerk real quick?
We can. I thought she was leaving at
She's
10:15.
leaving at 10:15, so
Yeah.
I think we ought to probably wait on clerk until tomorrow.
Or y'all can go and, yes. It's up to you. Don't
We're
change
ahead of
everything for me.
schedule. I understand, but we're ahead of
Here's-
schedule with this being your first time around here. I think.
You're
as
up.
many
Yeah,
of these
I'm
meetings that
learning
you can
it,
be
so
there.
I'm
Exactly, so. All right, Dane, you're up.
Let's start with, let's go simple here. Let's start with capital. We've asked for a small increase or an increase in capital to fund the 10 gig project. Part of that is what we brought back to this board back in December. It is for new FortiGates, firewalls, new fat pipe load balancers that would be required to operate at 10 gig. So fiber that we had run into the annex from homes is in the second floor, just needs to be patched in. Kind of holding off on that a little bit right now until we figure out the data center and where that's going and get firm plans there that I'm sure we're all aware of. So other than that, it's pretty much the same as last year. Moving up to operations, pretty simple. We've asked for a 5% increase in cost of doing business, kind of line up with inflation and anticipated increases for anything from Tyler to the circuits to whatever. Any questions on that? Pretty straightforward. Travel's the same. So we get to salary. Couple things on salary. One, we're asking for a new position. 2 years ago, I had a conversation with Augie to talk about future retirement, because he's getting up there, and I know nobody wants to see him go, and neither do I, but apparently his wife trumps me, so, and actually wants him home. So his plan in 2021 was to retire somewhere in 2025. That was 4 years. Put a calendar reminder in for February of 2023 to discuss that with him again and see if that was still his line. If so, I had asked him how long he thought it would take to fully train his replacement, to be able to step in and do what he does on a daily basis. He thought no more than a year, but a year was pretty good estimate. So I'm like, okay, then at that point, for estimating needs of 2023, we need to look into hiring his replacement so that somewhere in, I would say probably January of 2024, to give that person a full year to operate under him before he rides off into the sunset in 2025. So we estimate that position to cost us a salary of about $65 a year. Cody and I have talked about this a little bit, that we don't really need it on day one. This is a position that we would actually probably look to hire somewhere in January. There's no point in going after it now.
What I had discussed with Dane was with this scenario, it'd probably be better. It's good to have the information so we're all aware, but definitely have it as a watch list item at the beginning of the fiscal year. First of all, I applaud you for forward thinking and trying to make sure that your staff is, you've got a very important department. I mean, we all rely on you, and making sure that you're being proactive is important, so.
Right. So, yeah, we figure if we get serious about looking for someone in January, even if it takes us 90 days. Augie did say I'm leaving on January 1st of 2025, just somewhere in 2025. And of course, he also said that he's more than willing to, help out on a transition post time if we need to. So I think that gives us plenty of time to find someone and get them trained up. So the other big item is we put in a line for pay parity. We've not really ever brought this to this board to discuss salaries and how they compare with other government agencies, but also within our own county here. And what we've looked at is, with the other IT offices, some of the people that are in those offices, you look at the responsibilities they have, the numbers of systems they manage, the types of systems they manage, and then you compare them to what our team does, and Cody, you just said it, our team is pretty important. It doesn't line up. So in our world, it's time to look at that and see what it takes to kind of bring that more in line and more equal. We currently start our level ones at $36K a year. That's pretty difficult to find anybody. And these aren't positions that we can just pull someone in off the street. These are skill set positions that take training, some time, certifications, possibly degrees. Those are hard to fill at 36. And then it just goes up from there. Trying to find level 2s, level 3s. What we can offer is, we look at resumes that come in, they're asking for twice. And I'm not asking that we double it. What I'm saying is something reasonable to, more comfortable to some of the people that are in the other IT offices here. We looked at Tulsa County as another, that's kind of our gold standard when we look across. They've got 10 more positions than we do budgeted. A salary budget of about $500,000 more than what we do. They do have some different responsibilities than what we do, but even if you look across the board, for the most part, line up position for position, they're still, and the numbers we were using were 2021 numbers, they're still above where we're at in 2023. So I'm happy to entertain any questions on it, but.
Well, I think before I would have specific questions I'd want to see, you said that you've compiled some data and whatever.
Yep.
Maybe when we get more into the meat of our discussions about what we're going to do,
right.
If you could provide,
Yep.
Similar to what the sheriff has done in the past, what Juvenile did. I think the two of them provided some really good comparison data.
Yeah. This is just a jumping off point for discussion right now.
Okay.
So, like I said, happy to entertain any questions on any of it, but that's pretty much all I've got. Budget's doesn't change a whole lot year to year.
Yeah. One thing that I have on the capital, it seems like the total line down there is cattywampus, and maybe it's just I'm looking at it wrong.
So we put these numbers underneath there to see the real increase or decrease without the transfers. So it's really $302 adding these up with except the 40,000 same year. So it's really an increase of 109,000 on M&O instead of 9,410. Because the transfer was
we moved over 100 into M&O in December. That money will move back probably next May, April or May.
Right. So then this is the true number and not this number.
Right.
Okay. All right. Are there any questions? All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Your special revenue.
I'm not sure, quite frankly, why we still have this. I thought we zeroed this out last year.
Yeah.
Melissa didn't do it.
So.
Well, you got.
I thought we even signed the document to do
It says
that.
you got $20,954.
That's that. those are those dollars that fund was created, this predates Rich and me from an
Right.
administrative point of view back when we were charging all the law enforcement agencies for
Log in.
portal access
Yeah.
for search information and so forth. And I think really the only thing we ever spent out of it was licensing for related to the portal server.
Yeah,
You know,
so
it's a
can
one-time
we,
cost.
well, I don't wanna take up everybody's
Right.
time. I
So,
wanna
I
talk
mean,
to you guys about
Yeah,
We had discussed it.
because we need to go ahead and find out what we can use that money on.
Right.
Spend it out of that account on your other stuff and then just zero it out and get rid of it, so.
yeah, because we're not doing that anymore, so.
Right, there's no need for it.
Right.
All right, is there a motion to receive the
So
estimate
moved.
needs from MIS? Got a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Any opposed? Thanks, Dane. Nobody's opposed? All right, citizen participation. Any citizens signed up? If not, are there any board comments?
Cody, step back onto normal.
Thank you. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
This is your friendly reminder.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.